All set, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, Billy, how are you?
Hi, everybody. We're having a few technical glitches, so this could be an interesting
They
meeting.
can see us, but we can't see them.
Right?
Oh, really?
They're on my mirror.
So we don't know who's there. Behind door number 1, 2, or 3.
Commissioner Shea, you can begin the meeting.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, April 6th, 2022 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners.
I have two bottoms, you must have two tops.
On Thursday, March 12th, 2020, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That order was effective immediately until it is rescinded or the state of emergency is terminated. On February 12th, 2022, by action of the legislature, that order was extended till July 15th, 2022. Would you please stand and join us in saluting the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I've called this meeting to order. I'm now going to call the roll. Commissioner Stady,
Present, sir.
Commissioner Collins,
Present.
and Commissioner Shea is present via Zoom. We have a quorum. Item number 3, minutes of the open session meeting of March 30th, 2022 for your approval.
Joe, I'm going to ask that we table it. I had some corrections to that, and we could do it next week if that's okay.
Absolutely. Motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of tabling the minutes of last week's meeting to next week?
Aye.
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 We will table the meeting. Number 4 is, we have 2 opera awards today. One to the city of Quincy and one to the town of Rentham. I'm going to ask Director Cronin to give us a brief outline of what we have, and then votes are required, and we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This afternoon, the county has before 2 new ARPA grant awards, one for the city of Quincy, the other one, the town of Rentham. The city of Quincy, I believe, has a federal grant manager, AJ Kibillion, on the line this afternoon, who we have worked with since pretty much December on a variety of different projects. This request by Quincy is the largest single award yet to come before the commissioners associated with ARPA. It's $4 million associated with a project on East Howard Street, shipyard water and sewer infrastructure. That'll be a pretty comprehensive project. AJ has explained to us that the county funds will be the first used funds to help with the design and obviously the engineering work that'll be used for this comprehensive process. That particular grant is Quincy's first under ARPA for the second grant is for the, and by the way, obviously the Quincy grant falls under the infrastructure category. The second grant comes also under infrastructure and water from the town of Rentham. They are seeking $150,000 for additional public water supply. The $150,000 will fund a study for what's known as public water supply well number 3. They are currently seeking to meet water demands. However, projections of future demands indicate the town may have inadequate capacity. This grant today will help the town achieve some level of understanding of what the future capacity needs may be and where they may go to find additional well/new groundwater supply sources. I believe somebody from Rentham was supposed to join us today, and I hope the viewers understand we don't have the benefit of video on our end. If somebody from Rentham is identified, if they could identify themselves in their title, I think the commissioners would like to recognize them. So through the commissioners, Commissioner Shea, if you'd like to hear from the communities, I'll yield to you on in what sequence they may speak. Thank you.
Okay, well, why don't we go back to Quincy first? I see that AJ is on with us, AJ Capillion. AJ, hello, greetings. Maybe he can't hear us. I can see.
Can you hear me now?
Here we go.
Okay.
I heard
Can you hear me? Okay, yep.
Yep.
Greetings, AJ.
How you doing?
Welcome. you want to have any comments on this award? It's probably the first of a couple, and we're excited, needless to say, but we're moving right along. We're going to take a vote right after you speak. So if you have any comments,
No, we greatly appreciate the award, and this is a project that's necessary for the city of Quincy. And right after receiving the award, we're going to get right started on it. So we're very appreciative. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
okay, thank you. Okay, why don't we do one vote at a time? We'll do Quincy and then we'll go right to Rentham and do them when the vote is required. So.
All right, Mr. Chairman, if you wish, I'll make the motion for the
Sure.
opera grant. All right.
Commissioner,
So with
go ahead.
pleasure, all of us, on behalf of the commissioners, I'll move the motion to grant to the city of Quincy opera grant in the amount of $4 million for the water sewer infrastructure for the project as outlined, is submitted and approved by our board, and make it effective this date.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on the Quincy Award among the commissioners?
Do you want me to also make the motion, Mr. Chairman, for the warrant list? I'll wait till that later and take care
We're
of that.
going to
second.
do the warrant later. It's-
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, that's all I have to say.
So on the Quincy vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote. It is unanimous. I'd now like to move to the Rentham submission, a water study for the town of Rentham. Is there anyone on this call or on the Zoom from the town of Rentham?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if anyone could join us from Rentham. I know they have a bunch of applications in the queue and may come for the next
Okay.
award.
It doesn't prevent us from giving them some money though today.
That's correct.
We'd like
Commissioners,
them.
what is your wish on this water study for the town of Rentham? I believe everything's in order. I've read all the approvals.
All right, Mr. Chairman, then, if you please, I'll
Yeah.
make the motion on behalf of the county commissioners. I move that we grant to the town of Rentham, Massachusetts, the sum of $150,000 for an opera grant for a water study for the town of Rentham, and make it effective this date. So moved.
Second.
A motion made and seconded. Any further discussion among the commissioners? All in favor of $150,000 opera award for a water study for the town of Rentham? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is a vote, and that completes our opera for now. It will be voted later in the meeting when we do our standard warrants. Thank you very much. We're to say we're excited is a good word, I guess. So far, so good. Opera's been going very well, and we've got a long way to go, but we're working with everyone and we're getting better as we go along. So the team has done a great job, and I can't help but congratulate them every week. Okay, this concludes number 4 for the time. Number 5, any public comment on today's meeting?
Commissioner Shea, if I could just make one final remark on the ARPA piece.
Director Cronin.
That's through you, just to alert the folks listening and the commissioners. This afternoon's awards are the 16th and 17th grant awards made by Norfolk County. In total, we have distributed $10.8 million out of our total grant award, as you know, of 137 million, just under 10%. So we continue to be actually by far and away the most active of the county governments with the management distribution of ARPA awards. And I just want to pass that good news along through the commissioners to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, as I said, this concludes item number 4, opera warrants for approval. Number 5, is there any public comment today at today's meeting?
No, sir.
Anyone on the Zoom who has any public comment? Thank you. We're going to move right along. Number 6, appointments, we have none. Number 7, old business, we have none. Number 8, personnel matters for consideration. We have 6 or 7 today. The first few are all at the agricultural school. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the following motion. These are all for the Norfolk County Agricultural High School, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
First, notice of resignation of Kristen Hagstrom of Sharon, Mass. as a part-time cafeteria worker, effective April 1st, 22. So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
It is
The
a
next
vote.
two I'll
Thank you.
take
Next,
together. Just notice a change of address for two individuals, Jessica Nevers to Millis, Mass, effective 3/29/22, and the change of address for Charles Holton to Pawtucket, Rhode Island, effective 4/6/22.
Do you need a motion for change of address?
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
We do a lot of motions. All right. Next, notice a contingent appointment for Dominic Palmer of Weymouth, Mass, student worker at effective April 11/22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next,
Notice contingent employment for Toby Mazarzes. Forgive me if I am not doing that correctly. Maziarz of Walpole, Mass, student worker effective 4/11/22.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next,
Last is contingent employment motion for Sarah Whittier of Sutton, Mass, as a student worker effective 4/11/22.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
We have another one under the Registry of Deeds.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
Commissioner.
when it's appropriate, I would like to address
Yeah.
this one.
This is for the Registry of Deeds Chief Information Officer. But did you say?
That's what it says.
Yeah.
And it-
I have nothing, all my notation here is just appoint a Patricia, I'll get this tonight, Shropshire, a Carver, as Chief Information Officer effective 4/19.
Yeah, Joe, if I can, I had
Come
looked
in.
at, I
Go
looked
ahead,
at the
Commissioner.
paper. Thank you. I looked at the blue paper.
Commissioner
And
Collins, go ahead.
this is listed as a permanent position. It's not a temporary position. So I don't think we were hiring permanent positions.
Not yet, I don't think,
Yeah.
not yet.
So,
If I may be heard when the time.
It's up to the chair.
It's
Yeah.
up to the chair.
yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Chairman, Mr. O'Donnell's here to speak, maybe?
Okay. I can't- Is the register on the line?
He's in person.
He's here in person, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I can see him now.
Thank you. Yeah,
Can you see him?
Okay, sorry.
Register O'Donnell.
Sure, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me speak, and commissioners. Yes, this personnel paper is for permanent. And the reason it's for permanent is it goes back to in May of 2021, the advisory board had voted a permanent position. And that was the position we tried to fill back on June 30th when that 2-1 vote. And again, not to get into it, and I know Commissioner Stady was the one. It was a funded position, and we tried to get a permanent position. It's needed because the quality of services that is expected out of the registry is really predicated not only on the great staff we have, but having an IT department and having a permanent registry CIO. So I'm handing out, Mr. Chairman, I had a copy for you, but one, I'd like to read in the record, a letter from a user, Tim Quirk. This letter was March 15, 2022, was addressed to the county commissioners. It says, by way of introduction, my name is Tim Quirk, and I am the founder and president of Quirk Associates, a title examination firm. Quirk Associates is headquartered in Dedham and has been examining titles across Massachusetts since 1987. Given our history and breadth of services across Massachusetts, we've had the opportunity to work with every county and their respective digital record systems. For at least the past 20 years, we have always considered Norfolk County to be the best-run registry in the state. The online services they provide are consistent, reliable, always available, fast, and accurate. This is not the case in many registries. In other counties, we experience extremely slow retrieval time and shutdowns for long periods of time during the day. I believe this difference between the Norfolk experience and other counties is directly attributed to the dedicated on-site registry IT department. My company and its clients rely heavily on the quality and availability of the online records. The services we provide are vital to the proper flow of real estate transactions conducted by and for the constituents of Norfolk County. For example, consider the impact to the average home buyer when a transaction can't close because we can't access the registry records. I fear that without the on-site registry IT department and its permanent registry CIO, Norfolk County will see a degradation of service that we experience in other counties. As such, as a critical user of the registry information, I respectfully request that you maintain these resources at the Norfolk Registry. So that goes to the users. I would also say the homeowners need to have a permanent registry chief information officer, as has been at the registry for over 35 years. Homeowners depend on the land records at the registry for their legal title to their homes. And homeowners have relied on the registry to protect that legal title to those homes. And this is being jeopardized without a permanent on-site registry CIO. And never mind the cybersecurity risks and ransomware. Notices are being received. They're being received from the White House, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, telling entities, telling the Registry of Deeds to be on the watch for cybersecurity breaches and risks, especially in light of what's going on internationally. And just not having a permanent registry CIO increases, I think, the possibility of bad outcomes. This started back on June 30th. I've handed out, Mr. Chairman, a timeline that shows what has happened as far as that vote of 2-1 to rely on the Abrahams report. And some of it was in 2 weeks, the Abrahams report would be out. That was stated at this board, and it wasn't. It didn't come out till October. So we're here again, and I hope we've learned from what's gone on since June 30th. The registry has been without a CIO for 4.5 months, dating back to June 30th, and this is negatively impacting services. And you know, I'm going to advocate on behalf of the registry. I'm going to advocate on behalf of the homeowners who rely on the registry for the title to their house. I'm going to advocate on behalf of registry users like Mr. Quirk and others. We need the registry CIO was permanently funded in the registry budget for fiscal year 22. It's been put in the budget for the upcoming year. And let's just move forward, and work needs to be done. Services need to be provided. And, you know, if we can vote, this permanent registry CIO, as we're aware, in January, the outgoing CIO, and he only took the job. I mean, I know a lawsuit had to be filed, but we were without a CIO from June 30th to August 9th. So from August 9th, he was here, and he did a great job. I think we lost a very good candidate, a great candidate, because at the registry, we need a big picture thinker, a big CIO that can think of the things technologically and what needs to be done. But we also need in the same person, a person who's hands-on, who can fix the computers, the printers, and do the little jobs. We've only had a 2-person department. We've made it work, and we need a permanent registry CIO. And you know, Mr. Hatch left. I think it was a loss to us. And he left, and the letter is attached here, his resignation letter, because of that temporary designation. So let's just move forward if we could, for the good of the county, the good of the registry. And if this is made permanently, it solves a lot of things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I'm going to limit this discussion just to you folks. I believe that we understand both sides of this argument up till this point. I can only say that we're involved in a further study, which I believe will be done, and I'm told will be done in the month of April. It was asked for, everyone agreed to it. We come this close. I can't imagine making a change at this time until we read the further study. That is the Ripples Group. Now, I'm going to continue to insist that if we hire a CIO, that it is only a temporary point. I can't believe at this time that we would put a temporary person on for a period that could be as short as 1 month after all that we've gone through since last year. And we have voluminous information on all sides of everything, including a lawsuit. So I'm not going to support any permanent position today under any way, shape, or form. In addition, I don't know how we could get someone to work by April 19th if we voted this today, because we haven't done the personnel study of the paperwork, the physical required to come to work, the due diligence that we do in our personnel department under some new rules and regulations that we're working on. So I'm going to have no further comment today, but I'm not going to support a permanent position today. As for leaving money in the budget, of course, we're going to leave money in the budget because I expect at some point we'll have a permanent director of CIO in the near future. But the due diligence to hire, check everyone, et cetera, still hasn't been done. But I do not want to go back over it. It will serve no purpose today, revisiting all of these little items.
Mr. Chairman, on the temporary, I'm just trying to go what history demonstrates, and hopefully we learn from history. I didn't agree with the vote to make the person temporary, and certainly the candidate didn't, because he didn't take the job right away. And it was from June 30th to August 9th when Mr. Hatch started, we didn't have someone. I was thankful, just thankful to have somebody of his quality to help deliver services. And he was there from August 9th, but he left in January. When you had this hearing on December 8th for the Abrams report, and it's in the timeline and the documents are here, we submitted, not only did we submit written documentation talking about the temporary, but also we brought it up at the meeting that temporary does not attract or retain quality candidates. And on December 8th, I had said, make Mr. Hatch permanent, because you just can't retain or attract people if you make it temporary. And I didn't know he was going to leave. I wish he didn't leave. But history demonstrates, because that position was temporary, and you don't have to go by my say so. All you have to do is read Mr. Hatch's resignation letter, which again is part of the record. And, but he says, unfortunately, with my current role being temporary, and it brought a tremendous amount of stress and uncertainty to myself and my family, which is the primary reason I chose to look for and accept employment elsewhere. He appreciated the opportunity and enjoyed working for the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds for the last 5 months, and so on. So it is a challenging environment. But what I'm trying to say, Mr. Chairman, the temporary didn't work. The person left. Temporary just does not attract or retain people. And, I don't understand the decision back on June 30th to leave the registry without a chief information officer. We know where I stand. I consider that, I just don't understand it. But not having a permanent registry chief information officer is just leaving too many bad possible outcomes. One of it is the delivery of services. The other is potentially jeopardizing people's records to their home. And we never talked about the $82 million that gets collected that could be a victim of cybersecurity risk or ransomware, and never mind just the cybersecurity risks in general. So what I'm saying is, the temporary designation did not work. We saw it with Mr. Hatch. So can we just make this person permanent, and then, just get the registry back the way it should be, doing the work of the registry.
Okay. I have nothing else to say. All of these issues are subject to study by the Ripples Group, in addition to the Abrahams Group. I know that a good job is being done by the existing people in your office, because, you're still functioning. I don't want to get into who's who and where's where, because we're so close to getting this final report. I'm gonna vote to wait for a permanent CIO until we get the final report. That's what I'm going to support. I don't think we need to go back and forth about it again. We speak every meeting about this, and while we're speaking, we're working towards a solution. But has it been slow? Yes, it's been slow. But when you're getting into something as voluminous as this, and there's two sides to every story, and that's what we're looking for. So I have nothing further to comment on this. I'm going to support a motion to table this for the time being until we have studied all reports available to us. We agreed we were going to. We promised the advisory board we were going to, and that's what I'm going to do. I have nothing else to say on this matter. Commissioners, do you have?
Mr. Staley, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
It's
Commissioner
weird
State.
talking to a TV. There's no, we can't see who's there.
I know, I'm sorry. I very, very seldom
apologize.
miss the meeting, but
Oh,
I'm under
I
the weather.
apologize.
I'm under the
It's a
weather and
little-
I'm here on
it's-
Zoom.
It's a little different. Anyways, my bad. Listen, if I may, a couple of brief comments. First, I'm actually pleased to see this. All right. I want to thank you for bringing forward someone to fill this important position. I think it's kind of long overdue. We've been looking for someone, and I'm sure you have been doing your work as well. So thank you for bringing this forward. And I know you have the best interest of your registry, which is held in high regard. I know it is. I know it is. And we want it to continue that way. That said, I have to agree with the chair at this particular time. We made a vote of the board. I was outvoted, but that's fine. The board's vote has been to keep everything temporary until we wrap things up. And we're very close, Bill. We're very close. And I will say personally for the record that if there's an extenuating circumstance, fine. But if not, I really am looking forward to the Ripples Group report. Because as Mr. O'Donnell has stated, there have been times when we said certain reports were going to be in a couple of weeks. We probably shouldn't have said that in hindsight, and they weren't. And there were delays, and some of them were necessitated because of this the undertaking, which was new for many people. And so I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm not finger pointing. It's been a long process, but we're almost there. We're at the 10-yard line. We're about to go over the goal line. Hopefully, we'll get there soon. I ask you, please, to have patience. Would this person take the position on a temporary basis, Mr. O'Donnell? Because I would be very glad to move her appointment on a temporary basis.
I mean, my understanding is she wants a permanent position, so
Okay.
that's why I put it
Okay.
in permanent. Yeah.
Well, I would have to concur with the chair to probably move to table this until the Ripple report is concluded. But I'm hoping and praying that report will come in very soon, that we can have that report, we can study it, talk about it, analyze it, and then move forward. That's our goal. And there's no hidden agenda on my end. I don't think there's any hidden agenda on anybody's end. We want to do its best. But I think at this time, to act on a permanent position probably is not the right course of action. And I agree with the chair. Peter?
Is that a motion to table?
I would make a motion to table it unless, does the person, would she take a temporary position? We can always bring it back next week, I suppose.
Yeah,
Would you inquire on that for?
in speaking to the person wanted a permanent
I
position. And again, that was the whole thing with Mr. Hatch. And I know he took temporary, but he didn't take it right away. So,
I understand.
another quality candidate, wants a permanent job.
And
Yep.
I'm not as pleased as, I understand that, but I think too, we want to be consistent. And I think at this point, the motion would be proper to table.
Okay,
Correct.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion to table under personnel, under item number 8, the notice of appointment of a permanent Registry of Deeds Chief Information Officer. We're going to table this item at this time. All in favor of tabling? Aye. It is unanimous. This concludes personnel matters for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number
Thank you.
9,
Thank you.
payroll and expense warrants for approval, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the following for the warrant list of April 6th. The following items, please, for approval. 22-40 payroll of the county, $134,461.96. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next,
Second, 22-40, the school payroll on the amount of $333,487.34. So moved.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It's a
The
vote.
next,
Next,
22-41, warrant 22-41 for the town of Rentham Opera Award in the amount of $150,000. So moved.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next,
Next, for the Opera Award to the city of Quincy, 22-41, the amount of $4 million. So moved.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Next,
Last one, Mr. Chairman, expense for the county of 4-0122, the amount of $101,426.16. So moved.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote. Thank
That
you.
concludes that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Number 10, revised fiscal year third supplemental appropriation for approval. I'm going to call on Director Cronin. It is in the packet.
Mr. Chairman, our technology director, Mark McDonald, is working on our end of the Zoom call. If we could possibly defer this item for a couple more spots.
Absolutely.
He can pull up a video because I'll need the video presentation to be a
Okay.
little bit informative.
We're gonna, if there's no objection, we're gonna hold number 10 for later in the agenda. Hopefully we'll have our videos up by then. I'm gonna move to number 11, or is that in the same subject?
Same subject, sir.
Number 11, fiscal year budget update, fiscal 23 update.
So that's the same item. So
Okay.
put it aside for a second.
Number 13, contract awards. I have none today. Number 14, report on American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to be brief, as I mentioned earlier, the county has produced its 17th award, now totaling $10.8 million. Earlier this week, the county participated in its every other week conversation with the other counties regarding ARPA activity. They were very anxious to hear from us on the updates that I provided this board last week relative to our conversations with the U.S. Treasury on revenue loss. So I filled them all in on that. Regarding the other county activities, it's relatively slow. I believe Plymouth has one award and several other applications in the queue. Bristol is active, but I'm not sure they've advanced any awards. Barnstable is having sort of a public process that pits the delegates against the commissioners in terms of the control and sort of overall policy of their program. So their portal, while it's produced, is not active yet. And it's frankly one of the reasons why your meeting with the other commissioners this Friday has been postponed. Barnstable asked for some time to work out, hopefully a path forward for them to manage their program. Overall, all four counties share a common goal of using this grant for the benefit of our communities and improving regional services, while also maintaining a strict adherence to the grant's guidelines. I have to always give credit to Plymouth County Treasurer Tom O'Brien, who beats us over the head pretty good with his rhetoric about towing the line. Don't stretch your interpretation of a rule or the award in a way that gets us in trouble. That's pretty much the blunt language. Everyone understands it. It's nice to hear on these calls that people seek out Norfolk County's experience and thoughts as sort of the front runners on the grant. We're happy to do so. But overall, I think the commissioner should be very happy and proud that we kind of lead the state, if you will, on not just disbursements, but overall project management. All four counties continue also wildly support Clifton Larson, Powers Sullivan, and of course Mintz on the back end support of the grant. So overall, we feel like we're in great shape in terms of our management of the grant. And I just want to pass those compliments through you, Mr. Chairman, to the other commissioners. Thanks, Mark.
Good job, Mark.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go.
We're back on, Joe.
Hello,
We can
Mr.
see you.
Chairman. How are
There
you?
he is.
Nice to see you.
I am here.
All right.
Okay. Does this mean we can go back to 10 and 11?
I think it does. If you don't
Okay,
mind.
let's try it. Let's go back to number 10, which is the revised fiscal year 22 third supplementary appropriation for your approval, commissioners. In your packet is the laundry list.
So-
Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very briefly, commissioners, last week you were kind enough to approve the third supplemental proposal that I advanced. The particular supplemental supported obviously by supplemental funds that were appropriated earlier in the year. I alerted you that there may be some changes relative to some technology quotes that were coming in. So before you this afternoon is just two slight changes. And I wanted to seek your revote on this supplemental as presented. The first, we got a late quote regarding the replacement of lights, floodlights at the Wollaston Recreational Facility. These are the court lights, and we're looking to replace them with LED lamps. There are 58 altogether. The cost is $33,615. And the other quote, which replaces an old quote that was used last week, is for the camera release switch and monitoring system, phase 2 of the 614 High Street security improvements. The quote is now $11,100. If the commissioners had last week's supplemental summary in front of them, they would note that the total remaining in the deficiency was actually less than it was this week, despite the fact that we're spending more money. That's because I've released a $75,000 item that we'd funded at the second supplemental as a backup heating contract for the Registry of Deeds this winter. It was not needed. So I've removed that expenditure from our supplemental proposed spending, and it's yielded additional funds that will go back to our coffers at the end of the fiscal year, currently slated at $244,513. So, Mr. Chairman, with your approval, I would like to ask the commissioners for a motion to approve these new items totaling $417,237 in capital spending.
Okay, commissioners. Any comment before I take a motion?
Good work by Director Cronin, and I concur with that amount. Is the amount you're looking for to us to vote 417,237?
It is.
Okay, and that would be part of the third supplemental,
That's right.
but highlighted capital, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the operating pieces you've already attended to.
Right.
These changes did not affect that.
Right, we did the first part of it last week.
Right, okay.
Okay, any other comments before we take a motion?
I'll move then, Mr. Chairman, if you wish, for the third supplemental request of fiscal 22, the amount of $417,237, as described and outlined by Director Cronin, said amount referring to the capital surplus.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. The amount of $417,237 as outlined in the third supplemental appropriation dated 4/5/22. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This will move on to the next step, which is the advisory board. Okay, it concludes number 10. Number 11, fiscal year 23 budget update. Director Cronin, one's hand in hand with the other.
It is indeed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This afternoon, Commissioners, I'd like to produce a balanced proposed budget for FY23. I'll use this document for this afternoon's meeting with the Finance Committee. After collaboration with the Finance Committee members, and certainly through you and the choices you've made from a policy perspective on the FY23 goals, we had a $933,000 deficiency to close. This afternoon, I just simply want to walk you through how I achieved that goal of closing the gap while maintaining your priorities of this budget. If you could, again, I'll notice this is a proposed budget. We still have several phases to go before we get to the finish line in May. This particular budget on the summary page, on page 3 under revenue, begins sort of the task of showing how we achieve what we're looking to do. The registry transaction fees, as well as the deeds excise estimates, were slightly modified to reflect actual collections. In both cases, they are dramatically below expected collections in FY23. Last week, we had a conversation with the county treasurer, Phil Iantosker, and Assistant Director Bill Buckley. We went through sort of the arguments pro and con for some of the decisions. And one of the things that I think we all should be mindful is that the economy is not what it was a year ago. We knew transactional fees, for example, were hitting record historical levels through the registry collections. We recognized that wasn't sustainable. However, based on current projections, we are still projecting to be very, very high above benchmark that is shown here for revenue estimates. In effect, we would need to experience some kind of catastrophic, unforeseen economic condition to upset what we project to be modest revenue increases for FY23. In addition to that, I'm showing recreational receipts now that are reflecting actual fees collected from FY21. The reason I chose that is because it's a more modest and conservative number that was during the COVID pandemic, and they're real collections of revenue rather than the projected numbers based on the fees that were previously voted upon. And then finally, the appropriated from general unexpended balance, that number now more closely aligns with Mass General Law, Chapter 35, and the guidance needed to fund that revenue space. If we could proceed.
That's
Go ahead.
Of course, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Yes, Commissioner Stady.
So recreational receipts is primarily Wallaston, am I right?
It's all
It's
Wallaston.
all Wallaston, okay. And on the, you said on the registry transaction and the deeds excise, correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
it's less than fiscal 22, but it still shows an increase? Or is it-
No. The increase in revenue, we're projecting an increase in revenue for FY 23 from 22.
Oh, okay.
Yes, what I'm
Okay.
saying is, even with that projected increase in revenue,
Right.
it's still dramatically below the actual projection of revenue.
Oh, the actual projection.
Because we're
Okay,
still doing
okay.
quite well, and
Right.
these numbers are suppressed, if you will,
Okay,
so that we would need to experience some catastrophic event not to meet these
Okay.
revenue.
well, things slowed
Estimates.
off too. I mean,
They
the
have.
economy's changed a little bit.
They have, but yet, again, we concluded that it would need to be a catastrophic event.
Okay.
We do recognize interest rates have gone up. There'll be a slowing of the transactions, and the number of refinances is likely to drop. That generates some fees, but we feel very comfortable with these numbers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yep.
So moving on, the next item is on page, excuse me. Your budgets are page numbered. Page 9, under miscellaneous, the OPEB funding level, I had originally budgeted $200,000. The county ought to show some presentation of commitment towards this funded liability. In this case, I'm bringing it down to 100, which is what it was in FY 22. It shows the FY 22 approved because that's taking in the amount that we approved at supplemental time. So we're in line with prior year funds, and I do expect to add more to OPEB once our supplemental funds for FY 22 are realized as free cash next year.
Got it.
And I think that's an excellent practice going forward for financially contributing to that fund. So that shows a $100,000 reduction from the original budget.
Okay.
The next would be the Wollaston Recreational Facility. Let us go to page 19 under group 4, excuse me. You're going to see a green box, no data in it. The folks at the course had submitted a request to fund that line item at $104,000. I've removed that funding. Included in the 104 were cedar benches and other items that were just approved in the supplemental budget. In addition, the golf course has, as you all know, an $80,000 or so budget number to maintain the infrastructure of the golf course, water lines, water heads, modest supplies and equipment. It can live in both worlds. It can live in operating and it can live in capital. We've got it budgeted for FY 23 in capital, so I removed it here as an expense. All of the golf course needs will be still met. They're just going to come from a different bucket. Okay.
Okay.
The next item I'll call your attention to is under the facilities budget. Again, group 5. We'll get you the page number so you can meet me there. Oh, one other quick item. You'll note I changed the name of the data processing department. Fred updated to the IT department. So folks may note that in their table of contents.
You changed the name.
I did. I felt like data processing was reflective of maybe 1975 or
Yeah.
76. Very good years, I might add, but we are much more involved in technology now than just simple data processing.
Makes sense.
Let us move to page 30. It's 39. Oop.
30 I have. I think.
Yeah, we're going to go to the expense level, Dick.
Okay.
Page 41, gentlemen. The same thing here under group 5, building structures and improvement. Facilities had requested $100,000 for maintaining structures and improvements. The $100,000 request has been moved over to the FY 23 capital piece. So it's no longer funded here. All right. So that's another $100,000 that was saved against the original request.
Okay.
Next, the registry of deeds. If I can just get to that. Before I get to the registry, I just want to, John Wallace is with us today. He's the school business manager. The school's budget is obviously singly the largest piece of our budget. He did an exquisite job with his budget this year. He's a freshman, just like me, so he's learning. You would have thought he was here 100 years. Nice job. I want to compliment John publicly. We had minimal efforts to try and clean up anything associated with the school's budget. It came in very well prepared. We do recognize, and I think the commission has realized, the school's budget for FY 23 is in great shape. due to the change in the revenue that is coming in. And I just wanted to, there's really not much for me to draw out or call out in this budget that you haven't already heard as trustees. But with John here, I just wanted to recognize it was a breeze. It was almost a plug and go. And thank you, John, very much for your great work on this budget this year. So let's get to the registry.
That's a great thing to hear about, isn't it? Right, compared to years past, maybe. Good.
So the registry, as you both know, is at the back end of our budget. Let me get the page. The registry's budget, obviously, we had requested a maintenance budget for FY23. The registrar presented a budget that included a significant amount of expansion, namely through hires. So I'll call your attention to page 62 to begin with. There was a new position offered known as IT Technical Assistant Network Administrator for $87,000. Pending the Ripples Group report, I felt it was appropriate to zero out that request for FY23. We recognize that by the time the Ripples Group report comes out, there will be some choices to make about what and where to fund things. If the commissioners by May 4th or the advisory board by May 11th deem that this position needs to be restored, we'll put it back in and deal with whatever kind of balancing we need to do. But for balancing purposes today, I eliminated that position as a new position above maintenance. Page 63. Commissioner, you want me to keep going or you good?
I just had a question, but it's not relevant to what you're doing. So there was a retirement in that department. I wonder if that had been filled.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. That's on the next page.
Okay, very good.
So there were 3 other positions the registrar spoke about during his presentation to you back in March. They are head administrative clerk position, each funded at $53,656. These positions are new, above maintenance, so I zeroed out those positions. And then finally, there was a position known as a head clerk. It was shown to be Stephen Yusevich. That individual retired in October 2020, and the position has not been filled. So I actually zeroed that position out as surplus.
Okay. That might be a different one I'm talking about.
Okay.
I was looking at back in, if I could, on page 62, Director of Support Services. Was that position filled? Or,
Alicia Gardner.
yeah, didn't she retire?
She just retired,
Yeah.
so I'm
I
guessing.
believe she retired February 4th.
Right, so that's,
So we're likely, I'm sorry.
okay,
I believe we're on a payout level, and
Oh,
so
okay.
we haven't seen any
Got
backfill
it.
requests this
Okay.
time. So I'm presuming it's a
I get it.
a viable backfill.
Okay, got it, okay.
A good catch.
I see it, thank you. Yeah.
So now to the expense level for the registry. Again, there were a variety of different, what I call lower subsidiary or non-salary accounts that the registry had attempted to fund above maintenance. I brought them back in line with FY22 spending. That includes professional and technical services, line 5239. In that case, they had requested 90,000. I brought it back down to FY22 levels of 50. There was an item, and if you recall during the presentation by the register, we had a vibrant discussion about capital and capital funds for the registry. As you know, the registry can make use of deeds excise for such capital improvements as is deemed fit. They had requested 125,000 for computer hardware, and I flagged it because it's similar to a one-time capital expense. In this case, if it were beneficial, I could simply move it out to the registry's capital needs in FY23. However, I left it in here because I think it demonstrates something that the Abrahams Group called out. If you may remember, one of the recommendations for the registry was improve the hardware, specifically the printers and peripheral equipment that the users over at the registry need. So I thought that this was an echo of the Abrahams Group recommendations, and we should leave it intact for their operating budget. And again, it doesn't matter if it's coming from here or registry, it's still sourcing from the same fund. So I left it intact, but I wanted to let you know, I do think it's relevant to the Abrahams Group recommendations.
That's something that perhaps, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, question?
Commissioner Stady.
Yeah, thank you. Was that something that maybe when the new IT person gets settled, they would be looking at that more carefully?
No doubt.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right.
Line 5294, freight charges. I brought that appropriation back down to 145,000. It was originally requested at 150, so it was a savings of $5,000. Line 5463 and 5464, I believe, if I had that right. Nope, 5463 and
Wait, hold on.
5469.
You slid that by me. I'm sorry. Back up for a second. Page 65?
66, sir.
Okay, what did I see? Oh, freight charges, was it? I have a green line on freight charges.
Correct.
Well, could you go over that again? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
That's just,
So this particular account was funded in FY '22 at $150,000. It shows 108 because he transferred money out.
right.
So we're bringing him back to level funding in FY '23 at 145. He had requested 150.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, yep. Okay. Thank you.
5463 and 5469, modest changes. In this case, I funded them at FY '22 levels. Respectively, the first rental equipment was requested at 17,000. The second one was requested at 20, so I made adjustments in each case. Office furniture, 5547. In that case, it was requested at 10,000. I brought it back down to $5,000.
Now, question, I think, is it going to remain under equipment, or are we going to treat office furniture as a capital item?
That's a great question, Commissioner.
I'm going to support office furniture. I just want to put it in the right category, and I'm not.
It can live in both areas. I think if it was closer to or over $10,000 as a capital item, I probably would flag it to move off to a capital plan, but $5,000 is a really de minimis number for office furniture. So I don't want to have them beholden to a capital plan to purchase a chair or a table or something simple. But that's a great point, Joe. I think if it were more substantial.
Okay, and then how do we treat what was the treasurer's budget? I forget the figure. Treasurer was looking for some furniture too.
You're right, he did.
So we funded that in the supplemental, Commissioner, last
Okay,
week.
okay.
So he's getting his funds out. But incidentally, thank you for flagging that. There was one other small correction I made for equity. As you may know from the registrar's budget, he has a legal budget. It receives supplemental funds in FY '22, but his level budget for legal is $7,000. Treasurer Bellotti had requested additional funds for legal services at 10. I spoke to Mike last week and I said, I'm going to bring you down in the same line as the register for equity. So they're both funded now at $7,000.
Okay. That seems fair.
Okay, as long as we're on the same page. I think the furniture deserves support. I just don't, I want to put in the right place, because if our goal after all these studies and changes and new people is to streamline this and know what we're doing, I don't want to go back next year and have it drift away from where it should be. But if it's under 10,000, you think they need to work with, it's day in and day out.
Yeah, it's pretty minimal.
All
So,
right.
Commissioner Shea, that concludes the changes I made to pull this budget into balance. I'll present the same material this afternoon to the Finance Committee, and solicit any feedback from them on any additional changes or thoughts they may have.
Thank you. Any questions, Director?
All set, well done.
Well,
Thank you.
Again, we're on it for with the listening to the advisory board or assisting them in any way that we can. All right, before I leave the budget discussion, any questions from the commissioners up till this point?
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you, Director Cronin, for this report. And I know that this document changes weekly, and we're still reaching out. We're going to make our goal of, is it May 13th?
May 11th.
May 11th. I'm going to cautiously
No.
promise that we're going to make our goal of May 11th.
We're in very good shape. Again, the county has resources. This budget is maintenance. I did not get into the details that I will to this evening when I talked to the Finance Committee. There are some things that, as a budget writer, you need to be cognizant of. There are expenses that were associated with the growth of the budget this fiscal year that were non-discretionary. They were beyond our control.
Yeah.
I'll call those out this afternoon. But our resources are there to meet these costs. It'll be my goal to try and corral those going forward. And before I go any further, at the risk of speaking to it too much at length this afternoon. I want to thank every department head for their cooperation on preparing the FY23 budget. They did a great job. We're obviously trying to transition our platform and our content, and they're working with a rookie director. So all in all, everything went very, very well. I was very satisfied working with each of the department heads, and I just want to give them my personal thanks and compliments through you. It does make it easier when you have such experienced people to work with that help complete processes more efficiently. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, moving along. Number 15, report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have just a few comments. I will not steal your thunder. I will yield my first remark to Commissioner Stady because he and I both attended Stoughton District Court, Town of Stoughton yesterday.
Right.
So I'll yield to the gentleman.
Very quickly.
Commissioner Stady, go ahead.
Very gracious, Mr. Director Cronin. Mr. Chairman, happy to report to you and the board that we had a very productive meeting with the town of Stoughton yesterday, consisting with board chairperson Joe McCrisky, who's also a delegate in the advisory board, as you know, and the town manager and also the finance director. The nuts and bolts of it was we went through their questions concerning the opera application process. They were very pleased with the outcome. I believe they're going to use their money in one lump sum to help defray the costs or offset the costs of fire safety and public health. But there was a very productive meeting. It went well. And John and I feel that this is a good thing, good opportunity for us to get out when we can and meet other towns and try to be proactive. So it went well. And I thank John for obviously being there. And it went well. Good meeting. They'll be putting an application in, I would say, very soon. You'll see them coming in line with an application and others as well. So get ready for a busy spring.
And you know what happened because it's on Facebook now, right?
Right. Well, mine will be going in tomorrow.
Fair enough.
All right. But I think McCrisky might have beat me to it. But yeah. Good job.
Back to Director Cronin on his report.
Thank you. Very briefly, last week, the Ripples Group came in with their second presentation, kind of a waypoint on the progress of developing a recommendation on technology services for Norfolk County. The Register was in attendance with Marguerite Lee. The Ripples Group, I believe that we forwarded that presentation for each of you to view, has taken a very thoughtful and systematic approach based on their experience in state government and public management in whole, in looking at things through a conceptual lens. I'm very impressed with the product they're working on, and they are on target to deliver product to you by the end of April. I suspect in the next couple of weeks, they'll reach out and have a draft report ready for review. I'll alert the commissioners when and if that emerges so that we can have a discussion about what it's looking like. And then for the final presentation, we'll schedule that through the chairman to make sure everybody's informed about how things are trending. And then finally, Chairman Shea, I think you're aware of this, but the Norfolk County Commissioners will hold a hearing on May 2nd relative to the solar project up at the agricultural school. This public hearing is brought to you by, as a result, I should say, of the recent offer to the town of Walpole to particularly take that land. They refused, as we thought they would. So as the process plays out, it now points to a public hearing on our project for solar up at the agricultural school. That date was confirmed by Kearsarge, who will be in attendance, and I believe Attorney Scott Lopez will also attend as well. So we will alert our friends in Walpole, because as you may recall, their letter to us indicated they wish to be informed so that any and all interested parties can come forward and be heard during that process.
Will the meeting be held?
Could you repeat that?
Will the meeting be held?
TBD. I don't have that information at this time.
Thank you.
That is all I have this afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go forward on the May 2nd date. I thought it was April 26th, but I have it down. But May 2nd is the date for the public hearing. It's
Correct.
going to be live. It isn't going to be on Zoom like the one we had a couple of years ago. I mean, it's similar content, but hopefully, everyone will attend.
That is all. Thank you.
And we're going to announce probably next week where we're going to have it, I hope. I want to give as much notice as we can.
I believe the requirement is 2 weeks notice, Chairman Shea, and we are now just under 4 weeks, so our notice is well within the boundaries.
I know, but I more is better. Early is better.
Agreed.
Okay. Number 15 was report of the county director. Number 16, any other extra or emergency items that the chair did not reasonably anticipate to be discussed? Commissioners, you have anything you want to discuss? We're at a halfway point here today, and we're going to hopefully attend and listen with our advisory board finance committee at 4:00. So we can hear again the presentation on the budget, and again, trying to keep the calendar, trying to bring all these things in on time, get back to the department heads and come up with the final budget. So I appreciate all that we've been doing. I'm sorry,
Yes.
go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, as a follow-up on our budget process,
Commissioner.
you may recall that I think now 2 weeks ago, Director Cronin had sent out a summary of the so-called Big Four that was still, have we all resolved on that now?
Yeah.
Have we got responses from everybody? Okay, all right, fine.
Such as there.
All right, great. Good.
That's a good point.
All right, good. So that's out of the way. Good. All right. No questions, no comments. Good meeting
Last
today.
call, any other comments? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much.
I'll move we adjourn at 2:07, I believe.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.